You know, I think it's interesting that you had that drug deal at the door while we're talking about all these drugs.
I know.
So let's talk about Savannah and her drug deal.
Perfect timing.
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
So, you said if you watch anything on the news, if you get it, you're gonna die, and that's pretty much how most people that you run into and talk to, that's how they feel about it. And so my 7-year-old, I don't know, she doesn't watch the news, but this is kind of her perspective and seeing how everybody's talking about it, how everybody's dealing with it. And so basically, she said the same thing, that she felt if you get it, you're gonna die. Or she said, so I thought everybody that caught it died. So then it was just a lot of me trying to tell her no. And for a 7-year-old, some of those things are way over their head right now. So
Surely.
She can't really grasp how erratic all the adults are acting right now. And so
I guess it is irrational too. But the fear factor is, you know, everybody, I guess, wants to live. And when you're told that this thing is so deadly.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that I was really, I wasn't trying to go out and search, because I do believe that it is a real thing and it's out there, and there's a virus that you could catch.
I wear my mask.
And if you can, and if you have complications, or if you're elderly, you have a higher chance of not doing well. That doesn't mean that you're gonna die, because even the statistics, from what I've heard and read, that there's still like upwards of 99% chance of someone surviving it if they have it. So that's not, there's nothing that I can think of that we treat with such irrational measures.
Well,
because
there's a lot to be said about that.
Well, and I tend to believe the mask thing. I tend to believe in a surgical setting, or in a closed area, just, you know, that they would work. They would help you from spreading one thing to another. Now, I don't know that we live in a surgical setting. The general public doesn't treat the mask wearing in a way that they do in a surgical setting. So I mean, I tend to notice people, fixing their underwear, and then like putting. You saw the lady that she took her mask off, picked up her dog's poop, put it into the trash can, and then turned her mask around and put it back on.
No. What was that?
Oh, it's online.
It was online. I think I'm glad I didn't see it.
No, and because I think it's fake. I think it's a hoax.
God, I hope so.
Because it's got to be a hoax, because nobody's that stupid. And she's a
well, I'm not going to go that far. I mean,
there's a lot of people that are really stupid, but she is. It was obviously a setup to where they get attention, and because it dawned enough views, and it was seen so many millions of times. If you just, I wouldn't even search that.
She gets millions of views, and you and I get 100.
Because we're not doing anything like that.
Well, maybe we should do something stupid.
I'm not.
Well, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing something stupid like that.
No, but we're doing.
My singing would probably be stupid.
We're doing something stupid by calling out hypocrisies, which leads me into my next rant.
You got another hippo?
About this corona. It goes without saying, the elected officials that have been caught maskless. I hate to say maskless, like there's some kind of dirty air breather, mouth breather, knuckle dragon.
Well, if you talk about a political leader, that's the same thing.
I know, but I don't want to be. So I'm gonna do my part, and I'm gonna try to break as many rules as I can and see if I can get away with it, which I can't, because I'll get.
So you're telling me you're going to rebel
peaceful
about these peaceful. That's good, because normally you'd like to take that center road. You don't want to upset anybody, but today
I'm making a stand.
Oh, today
I'm taking a stand. I'm calling out all these people, and I'm not actively trying to go get sick. I never try to
really. I don't want to be sick.
No, but I mean, you know what? I've been sick, and I do know this: from the day you are born, you're on your way to die.
You're right.
And everybody's got a certain amount of time on this little, like you said, rock spinning 1,000 miles per hour, passing through space and time, and we're smart enough to think that we are in control of life. I'm getting awful. I don't even know.
No,
where I was going.
You're going in a great direction here, because the reality is we have no control. I've always told folks that if you really want to see God laugh, tell him what your life plans are.
Oh, I like that one.
Yeah,
I've heard that.
Mm-hmm. And it's so true.
Yeah,
you make all the plans you want, but
yeah. Man, that reminds me of this other song that I heard.
Well,
and it was such a
brand guitar.
No. I would never do it.
Would you sing a few? I have sung twice in this cantata today.
I can't.
You're the one with the musical background.
I know, but I don't. I'm not as spontaneous as I need to be. Maybe.
Well, I just don't care.
The song was this. It was a song about, what's the name of that song? If We Were Vampires. And it's a love song. If We Were Vampires. Look it up. And so there's this part where he talks about...
Was that about Rage by the Machine?
No. Much better.
Okay.
Much better.
Sounds like it's right.
So,
I just...
Yeah, because you think like...
Probably a great beat and easy to dance to.
You would love it. I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to put a link to the song below, so everybody can see.
I can't wait to go home and dance.
It's not a dance. It's a love song. But anyway, the guy's perspective is writing this perspective about his wife, and he's saying if we were vampires, we would sit around and laugh at everybody and their plans. Because they live forever.
They live forever.
But it's more, the love is more of knowing that you've only got 30 to 40 years of this thing, and that's why it's so important.
Yeah, I think something exploded in me, and I
didn't mean to do that.
While you were speaking about the vampires, the only thing that came to mind is that it's got to be terribly difficult for them to get up and get ready in the morning.
I don't think they do.
Well, they can't see each other in the mirror. If you're looking in the mirror, they can't see themselves. So how do they comb their hair?
But they don't have to go to work.
Well, that's true. But they still need to. You still want to be presentable. So how do they comb their hair?
You remember what were their names? Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Yeah, they always had their hair done. They were vampires.
What was that movie?
I don't remember.
Something about...
It was in New Orleans. They did it in New Orleans.
Yeah, they did it in New Orleans.
Yeah. Hey, we went to New Orleans a couple weeks ago.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. And it was...
were people wearing masks?
Depressing. Yeah, a lot of people were wearing masks.
Huh.
I wore a t-shirt that has Ben Franklin on it, and he's got a mask on. So I told everybody, well, he's wearing the mask for me.
Is it... was that from your t-shirt friend?
So I didn't wear a mask.
You didn't wear a mask?
No, I didn't. I mean,
so you were rebelling today, but you weren't wearing a mask 2 weeks ago. So your rebelling last week was not to wear a mask.
I've been doing a silent protest for a long
time.
Today
you were rebelling, saying,
"Well, today I actually put it online, so we're probably going to get, probably get some trouble for this." But I just think that I think that everybody's just being a little crazy when it comes to the if it's a 99% survival rate, that's not a pandemic. Am I wrong?
Well, I
don't know.
Well,
I hate to say that, but I just said it.
I think the problem with this particular virus is just how contagious it really is.
But is it?
Well, it is very contagious, but most people, just about everybody, if it's 99% of the population is going to get through it, it's that 1% or even 0.5% that they've reported before.
Right.
So the reality is you don't want to, and they don't really know who in particular gets hit the worst, because there could be someone, I've read reports of individuals that were fit and not and young and were hit hard by that thing and were unconscious for like 2 months with the ventilator.
But
I can't imagine that.
But how many of those have you heard?
Well,
because there's going to be one-offs of everything.
Well, that's true.
And so if I put it in, let's because I was never a statistics major, but let me run some statistics really quick.
They hit me.
So how many? I don't know what the ticker is, but what do we got? Like 7 million people have tested positive for this thing, or in the U.S.
I honestly don't know.
I have no idea because I lost count whenever there. But it's not.
I've quit watching about it.
Yeah, well, you should, because it's not there's nothing good about it except for like we've got more cases and more deaths, which we're gonna have cases and deaths, but are they dying from that? I'm not a real firm believer of all the numbers.
Well, now I have heard that they report a lot of people that have died from COVID that really died from something else.
But they just happen to have it.
They happen to have COVID, and they get a higher percentage of reimbursement for a COVID death.
They do.
That's what I've heard.
That's true. And I'm not in the hospital, but I have.
But you play one at home?
Yeah, and I mean, and people that are just like, oh no, that's a lot. I mean, maybe it is, maybe it's not. But I can. I don't know. I don't have any sponsors, so I don't have anybody telling me to get off the air.
Yeah,
so you can't.
We're
say
still
that,
working on some,
but we can say that. And so, wait. All right, I lost my train of thought. So wait. Okay, my statistics. So we got. Let's call it 10 million.
Okay. We're going to make it easy for yourself. Okay.
I'm going to say 15 million.
Oh, now you're going to make it hard. You doubled basically from the beginning. You started at 7 million. Now you're already up to 15 million.
And I wish I knew.
You're killing the population.
I wish I knew. No. They've only tested positive. These are just positive cases. We got like 500,000 deaths. I know we don't. I mean, it's like 200.
It's like 300.
300?
It's about 300,000, isn't it?
Yeah. And so that's the thing. So there was like a report out of Colorado that 40% of theirs, 40% of the COVID deaths had gunshot wounds also. Look it up.
Really?
Look it up. Don't take my word
Well,
for
maybe
it.
they needed extra ventilation.
Well, if they didn't have the gunshot wound, they would have died from COVID, probably. Not. So let's say we got 300,000 people. And look.
So you're saying 120,000 of those people died from gunshot wounds?
No. Possibly. I don't know. Maybe in some places. I'm just, what I'm trying to prove is the numbers don't make sense to me if that's how many people died in 2019. I'm sorry, 2020. And we had 175 million people vote in this year's election.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
A lot of them were dead.
I don't know what percentage that is. Right, but I can believe, I should believe the numbers from the COVID or the coronavirus, but I should believe, I shouldn't, it's hard. It's really hard to know what to believe these days.
Yeah.
Do I believe that?
You got me kind of thinking I should just walk out right now.
I know.
I'm confused.
Well,
I'm dumbfounded. I am found dumb.
Welcome to the club.
I am found dumb.
I wanna say thank you for joining.
You can't just back out on them right then and there. But I can tell you, I was listening today. It was so funny. Nancy Pelosi had a mask on, and when she has a mask on, you can't really understand what she's saying. And when she talks to people, she always uses the back of her hand, which I take that as a signal as to what she really thinks of us. She's always talking with the back of her hand to us. And so she's doing this, and she's saying that they're supposedly close to formulating the final stimulus package for $900 billion, whatever it's going to be. And she was blaming the Republicans for not being able to get anything done to this date.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, okay, for the past few weeks, they actually have had Democrats admit that they did not work on a package because they didn't want to help Trump.
Oh, yeah.
And now she's trying to say the Republicans didn't want to do that. That's not true.
If she's talking, she's lying.
Oh, well, yeah. If her lips are moving, it's
Yeah.
a lie. And what is interesting is what she and Chuck Schumer have been trying to do is inflate the package so that they could give monies to cities and states, i.e. California and New York, Illinois in particular. Imagine that, some real heavy Democrat states, who are basically in debt up to their yahoo, and she was trying to get it, and Chuck Schumer, so that the stimulus package money could go to them and bail out some of these states and cities for their poor management. And that's not right. We don't need to be bailing out cities because people voted in some idiots. Oh, I'm not supposed to use a name like that, huh?
Well, they deserve who they voted for, right?
Well, in California, they got to go. They're currently doing a petition to try and get rid of their current governor.
Yeah, there'll either be like a mass exodus, which everybody's leaving New York supposedly. I don't know. It's
I don't know how people afford to live in New York.
Yeah, well,
or California.
Well,
I don't know how people afford to live there.
So in San Francisco, the city of San Francisco distributes approximately 400,000 syringes per month. About 18 per person, or one every 1.5 to 2 days. Between 4.5 to 4.8 million syringes annually. They distribute.
They have that many diabetic people in San Francisco?
That's what I thought. But supposedly everybody's healthy over there. Right, because you can't even smoke outside.
You can't do anything over there, and so they have a ton of diabetics because they're obviously giving them free syringes.
Yeah.
How much did you say? 400
million.
400 million syringes. No wonder my daughter and son-in-law went to us. They were out on the West Coast this last year, and they did a drive-through San Francisco, and they said it was the dirtiest thing, and syringes and stuff all over the place. And
poop too.
It said it smelled bad, and that wasn't even Alcatraz. That was the city of San Francisco. And
Alcatraz is clean.
Alcatraz is clean compared to that.
Because they've got tours that go through there.
People don't mind living over there because it keeps. But apparently, San Francisco is really bad.
I've never been, so I can only talk about it and not know anything about it.
I went. I've been there, but it was 30 years ago, and so it hadn't deteriorated to that point yet. So.
I tell you what, we went to Chattanooga. I told you about that. I don't know if I told you about.
Well, I knew that you had gone to Chattanooga.
Yeah, we went. Beautiful. The place is beautiful, but we were walking with the kids, and we were walking by this real big museum. I can't remember if I told the story.
I don't think you did. No, I think you did.
So we were walking by this. We got this pedestrian bridge that goes across the river, and so it was a beautiful day, and we're walking there, and we come back. The kids notice this sidewalk that traverses down the side of the bridge, goes underneath the bridge, and it goes back to the direction of our hotel. So they wanted to run down that, so of course. So we're following behind, and my kids get to the. You know where this is going?
No. I'm just imagining all this.
Yeah, so so they're running down, and it's a long way, and so we're about halfway down, and the kids stop at the base of it, and they're just kind of sitting there looking around, and I'm thinking, this is awesome. They never sit there and wait for us.
There's something down there.
And so and it's so funny because the traverse is back and forth, and it takes forever to get down it. They ran down it.
I'm sure you're excited to go too.
Well, yeah, anything for the kids. And so I get to where now I'm under the bridge and I can kind of see everything.
I'm going with
it. It's a full amphitheater of tent city homeless.
Stuff.
Yeah, they used to call them hobos, but I don't know. Can you call people hobos anymore?
I don't think that's a term they use anymore. I think they just say homeless.
Okay. Well, I don't even know where hobos came from, but we used to.
It was homeless.
Okay. Okay. Well, hobo. Side story. When I was 8.
Are you still in Chattanooga?
No. Back when I was 8 or 9, I grew up in a place, and my mom dressed me up like a hobo. We would dress up like hobos because it was the railroad festival. And so you go to the railroad festival and you'd have a competition and you'd have everybody dressed up like hobos and they would like.
Oh, so it was like a thing. It was like a Halloween
but it was a festival.
costume festival, but you did a hobo festival.
Well, it was the railroad festival, and that was just what they did with the kids.
And so you just threw the kids into hobo outfits and threw them on the train.
Yeah,
well, the train went right through the middle of your town.
You know what? There was a place in DeQuincy called Hobo Jungle, and people used to.
Where I bet where hobos gathered.
And it's right by the railroad tracks, and people you would bet to see who could ride their bike through Hobo Jungle, and everybody was usually scared to ride through there because there was usually hobos in there.
Yeah, you wouldn't get me riding in there.
Anyway, back to Chattanooga.
I guess with my guns blazing, I would.
So why are you gonna shoot hobos? There's nothing. They're just hanging out.
I didn't say I'd shoot them. I'd just be blazing in the sky, keeping them away from me.
All right, this is good.
I had a gun,
this is going south. So
you started.
So we walked down, and it's.
Did you meet any of them?
I said hello to a guy who was sitting there on the side.
Did you give him some money?
I did not. So I could either holler to the kids to tell them to get back over, which I didn't want to do. A lot of people were still sleeping.
You were afraid you caused a riot.
Well, it was early. I mean, it was like.
Were you afraid you were going to insult the homeless people in the tents?
Well, I didn't want to cause a ruckus. You know, you know how those ruckuses are.
Did it smell?
So funny you mentioned that. So it was quicker for us to just walk through it. It was quicker for us
you went
to just
through the place.
Just walk under the bridge.
I'm calling Child Protective Services because you obviously exposed your children to.
I exposed them. Well,
all sorts of things.
Yeah, nobody exposed them. Nobody.
So no one exposed themselves to your kids.
To my kids.
But what you exposed your kids to.
I exposed my kids to the life under the bridge.
Child Protective Services is going to get this.
So anyway, my little girl looks up and she said, "Smells like poo-poo." And I said, "Yep, that's exactly what poo-poo smells like. That is." And I've never smelt it like that. It was like walking. It was like it was on your feet. It's horrible.
They're going to be so glad you brought this one up.
No. So which then it was a.
They're going to say the same thing about this show.
No. It was a good intro to talk about what to be thankful for, life lessons, life choices. There was just a lot that we were able to talk about after walking through. That maybe if we wouldn't have walked through, maybe wouldn't have come up first.
And they may not, and your children would not appreciate what you were actually telling them.
Yeah, they wouldn't have understood it, but now they do. Now they got a sense of the smell and the environment, and it didn't look. And you hate to see someone suffer.
Oh, I hate it. I always want to go do something about it because I feel bad. I want to give them money. I want to,
and especially when you see it to where it's like it's so overblown that you can't help. There's really nothing you can do as an individual. Now together, people they have faith-based organizations. They have so many organizations that people do help and they do offer some service. But those people, so that's one of the things we kind of talked about with the kids. People that are in a bad situation, there can be lifelines everywhere.
That's true.
But that person has to grab that lifeline.
That's true.
And there's nobody that can help it. There's nobody that can help that person. That person has to make the decision and has to,
They have, as I've always said, it's that slogan I have that I always use, I have to do the things I think I cannot do.
That's a good one. I've never heard you say that.
I've never told you that one? I've always kept it on my desk. I have to do the things I think I cannot do. And
I've always said, if you're not living, you're dying.
Based on the music that you listen to, I can understand. Now, what is it? Vampire?
Oh, okay. If we were vampires, I'll put it in the.
Oh, you're gonna put
it on the thing. I think
we probably ought to say Merry Christmas to everybody because they're probably asleep by now.
Sorry.
No, you had it was riveting story on the human condition and how you're able to expose your children to
Yeah.
that aspect in life. And so it was
You know what? I think we're gonna let's split this one up into 2 episodes.
really
We'll do a part 1 and part 2. Merry Christmas.
Merry,
Merry
a
Christmas.
well, it's a Christmas special. It's a Christmas special. It's
Part
we
2.
should go back. Well, if we have part 2, then we should definitely break out into song.
Oh, okay.
Well, so much for the song, and he's the one with the music
I
background.
can't. I have no music background.
When I was in the 6th grade,
I'm a hack.
when I was in the 6th grade, I had a choir director, choir teacher, told me that I sounded like Caruso. And I had no idea who Caruso was.
I don't know who that
So I
is.
went home and I asked Mom, I said, who's Caruso? And she told me who he was. He was an opera singer back in the 20s. You know.
Yeah.
And but he's a great voice.
Yeah.
And apparently I had it. I was more interested in running and
Yeah.
and so I didn't use my tool.
Mm-hmm. Me and some friends, we got into the choir in high school. We played football, but because our linebacker coach had fun calling us choir boys.
Oh, well,
But you got into the school choir, because that's where all the pretty girls were.
this is true.
That's what we were doing.
That's my mother made me take typing when I was in 11th grade, and I said,
Best class you ever took.
when I was registering, I said, Mom, I don't want to take typing. She said, oh no, you need typing, and I said, no, I don't really want typing, man. So I signed up for it because she said I would need it.
Yeah.
So I did that in 11th grade, and it really was one of the best classes I ever took because it was all women in there.
Funny.
It was except for Chet Ashe. He was sitting in the front, and I always sat way in the back. And so that was typing.
I wish I would have taken shop class. I wish I would have taken that.
I didn't take shop class.
I didn't either.
I didn't take. You know, I was always. I tried to do. I stayed academic, so. That's the reason I remember things like the West Florida Rebellion. Now, in a couple of weeks, we're going to cover the Battle of New Orleans, because the Battle of New Orleans occurred on January 8th. So we'll have a program before the 8th.
Yeah.
And we'll
talk about
the Battle of New Orleans, because there are a lot of interesting little things that happen that people don't probably know about, that are just people need to really understand too just how important that particular battle was to the future of the United States. And we don't really think about it that much. We just think, oh, about New Orleans. And,
yeah, I know the word. I don't know the story.
There's a lot of stuff that really ties to that particular function, and it was do or die.
Well, I know that I've learned a lot. Thankfully,
I've learned an awful lot too.
Thankfully,
I've got to go back and think about it.
Yeah. So if anybody would like to make donations, they can.
Yeah.
We need to figure out some kind of do that.
We need to do a PayPal account or whatever you do, a Venmo.
I wonder how, because YouTube's not paying us yet.
No, they're not.
Once they watch this, they're definitely not going to pay.
I tried to call Dr. Fauci last week.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because I told you, I'm going to call Dr. Fauci. So just for the heck of it, I said, why not try? So I started calling.
Does he have an office?
I don't know.
Is he a real doctor?
I don't know. I just started calling all over the place in Washington, D.C., trying to find Dr. Fauci. Not anyone would help me find Dr. Fauci. And I wasn't able to get to him. I wasn't able to talk to him, but I did make a lot of different phone calls. I think I might be on the FBI hit list because they think I'm trying to hunt down Dr. Fauci.
You just want to talk.
I just wanted to talk, and it would have come in handy with your 400 million syringes.
Yeah, I want to know like who's in charge of. But do you know why they? I mean, they did that to curtail the spread of sharing
AIDS?
needles. Yeah, AIDS from HIV from sharing needles. So they figured if they just gave them all the needles, then they wouldn't share them.
But they still do.
But they I mean, I don't know. I don't really hang out in the.
I guess if you get free
circles
needles,
of-
you just throw them away.
Well, that's why
That's why they're on the street.
they're having a big problem with the syringes, and so they're spending. Gosh, I don't know how much money they're spending on trying to clean up all the syringes now. So it's like, so eventually, I'm wondering when there's going to be more responsibility on the individual.
Well,
That's a bad question.
No,
I mean, that's a really.
it's a good question because I think it revolves around a Democratic Republican thought process. Where are all these problems that you're really talking about? The problems exist everywhere, but where are they magnified? San Francisco, California, Democratic,
Yeah,
all over the place.
but is it? I mean, I don't know.
Washington State, I bet Washington State, I bet Seattle, I bet if you did that for Seattle, they probably have a bunch of.
Yeah, I don't know that they're passing out syringes, but they did just decriminalize heroin, which I guess is a good thing.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, because I think if you kill off everybody, then there's less people. Get everybody.
I guess that's part of population control, which is a socialistic environment, that's.
Yeah.
I hope that.
See, I'm a mouth breathing, knuckle dragging, procreating.
You're American.
I'm American.
American. Don't put the A in there. It's American.
Yeah.
It's American.
I know.
Bonnie Blue Flag.
I never felt like that was a bad thing until more recently.
Well, don't feel like it's a bad thing.
I
because
don't.
It's not.
I don't.
If those people succeed in making people feel like they can't say what they want to say, or
You know what?
feel
How do you feel about this one?
Oh,
I
this
just
ought to
made
be
this one up today.
oh, ooh.
Is anybody else concerned about governments, local, state, federal, whatever, tamping down religious services in the name of science?
They should be, particularly if you recognize the aspect of our Constitution and the Bill of Rights. The Constitution and our Bill of Rights.
But if you can just say, like, this is a pandemic, so we're going to have to shut down all these mass gatherings.
Well,
But is it really a pandemic?
I think that you have to, as far as a church is concerned, you have to recognize what do you need to do to protect the members of your church.
Yeah.
And do what is best. I can tell you that from my standpoint, this past summer when all the churches were really shut down because of the pandemic, I spent every week making sure that I mailed out what the sermon would have been that Sunday, and during the middle of the week did some type of Bible study and mailed that out to all of the members. And it was pretty easy because I either emailed it to the members who had email, and for those who didn't have email, I just hard copied the old-fashioned letter.
Yeah.
And maintained that connection. A lot of churches went online, and of course the bigger churches can do that. They
Smaller
have their
churches.
facilities.
That,
Smaller churches, a lot of them did a telephone and did Zoom type of. So there are ways of doing it. I whether or not you meet personally, I guess that ends up being kind of a personal issue.
I know. Because like the.
But if the government told me you couldn't, that would.
Well, that's the big stink about the big Pentecostal preacher around here. I can't remember his name.
Yeah, I can't remember
You know
his
what
name
I'm
either.
talking about?
Yeah, I know who he is.
He never stopped services.
But
And
the problem
they
is,
arrested him.
well, the problem is they weren't socially distancing. They weren't wearing masks. They weren't.
No, I know. They weren't following.
They weren't following anything, and I think that's wrong.
But they didn't. But I mean, can anything be tied back to them? Where was there like a massive spike in cases because of their
I don't know.
services?
I do not know.
But that matters. You know what I mean? Because if there wasn't, then that's why I don't like how these news cycles happen and something's such a big deal, and then a week later, I don't know.
It is.
know,
I've thought about that.
you got to follow it through.
What is going to be the next big thing that takes COVID off the map, and then now it's this thing?
But you can't because like Because if you take, so like COVID is just as powerful as climate change. You can't take that off the radar because it's such a big deal. It's dealing with future unknown science, supposed science, which can be manipulated depending on what outcome you would like to have. So what we had March, everything shut down. And then what was the holiday after that? Was that Labor Day?
After in March, you don't have anything in April. In May, you have Memorial Day.
So Memorial Day. Now, everybody was going to die after a Memorial Day. They told everybody not to do anything, not to go anywhere.
That's true.
Massive boat parades, massive parties. So the college kids or younger people, they haven't stopped at all. Bars, clubs, those things haven't stopped. They've just gone underground, which is not literally underground, but everything now is in the shadows, which I don't believe is such a good thing either. Everything needs to be out in the open. If you want to party till 6 a.m, there's a place that you can go do it safely. But the guy that was, I noticed the people that were really fighting the restrictions, and I mean all the restrictions, and he was the one that I noticed. It's like he was doing it in the name of the church, and there was all kind of people coming out calling him a fraud, money hungry. I mean, it's really easy to attack people sometimes, but what I was waiting for was, where's the fallout after he does this, and or if they can tie it back and say half of his congregation is dead now. Then that's one of those things that they can pop up and say look, this is serious. This is really a big deal.
I haven't really heard about I don't even know if they've been meeting still. I don't know.
Well, so he got arrested.
Because I know he's been having court stuff.
He got arrested and then he got out. And when he got out, he had his Bible and he started preaching in the parking lot. And then they started having their services. Yeah, they continued. They just never, I don't believe they've ever
so
stopped.
he's still having services. Huh?
I'm going to go look it up and I will report.
Ooh, next week.
Because that's one of those things that it's really popular and it's easy to just gloss over, and it's easy to pump the fear, because Memorial Day, everybody's supposed to die after that. And then there was the 4th of July. Don't celebrate the 4th of July. Everybody's going to die. Nobody. I mean, people, but some gunshot wounds. Anyway, and then after the 4th of July was
Labor
Day. Everybody's going to die. Every holiday that's happened.
Thanksgiving was
supposed to be canceled. Christmas now they're wanting to cancel. Don't get together with your family. And so they're creating this isolation, this masking of people where if this is all you see of somebody, you don't know them.
You can't see the smile. You can't see them.
And you say you can smile with your eyes like that. I could be crying, mad, or happy.
I've thought about growing a mustache because no one would know. But I said, I might as well try, because I've never in my life have tried to grow a mustache or a beard.
Huh.
And I said, maybe I ought to try that while my face is covered. No one would see it.
Yeah, but here's the deal: you can't have a beard because then you don't get proper
seal. Don't get the seal
around your mouth hole.
Well. Mouth hole.
I'm sorry.
your mouth hole.
Blood pressure's going up.
You are on a COVID fire today.
I need to stop.
Okay, we'll stop. I hope everybody continued to watch the program.
We might have to split this up into 3 parts.
We might have to. Oh Lord, there may be mass rebellion.
Oh man.
But it's Christmas. We're excited about everything. We're excited about the idea of being able to speak about it, and it's fun. I'm glad I was able to speak about the West Florida Rebellion.
That's a really cool story.
And it's local.
I know.
It's so local. Yeah. A lot of people don't know where that fort was.
I'd never heard that story until I asked about the Texas thing, and he was just like, "Well, that comes from the West Republic." I was like, "What is that?" And so anyway, I am a better person now than I was.
Well, I'm glad that I was able to help in some small way.
Yeah, completely.
But I'll tell you, when we talk about the Battle of New Orleans, I'll tell you about the little fort that they had at the mouth of, well, it wasn't mouth, but at the Bayou Manchac in Mississippi.
Oh yeah.
Had a small little fort there.
I'm gonna make a fort in my house.
That's just good. I hope everyone has the best Christmas ever.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. We love y'all. Bye-bye.